Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new day. And what I mean to say by brand new day is that the last lecture took place over 24 hours ago. So in the last lecture, we've created this portfolio, right? And what I wanted to do is I wanted us to give it a bit of time so that the market moves and these coins move a bit so that we might come back, look at the portfolio and see that it's not at the correct asset allocation and that we actually rebalance it together, through a live example. So 24 hours later, I'm looking at the market and the market moved a bit. So I was happy about that because when the market moves, it creates these opportunities where some coins don't move as much as others, and we can actually go in and rebalance that portfolio. So what we're going to do now is actually go ahead, look at that portfolio, see if there's any rebalancing to do, and go ahead with the rebalancing. So first things first, I take a look at the market. This is something I do often. And I see that everything dropped. Okay, so today is a red day. Everything dropped from yesterday. And as you see, everything is correlated. Everything is red today. And the market is super correlated. And that's not something that's just with cryptocurrencies, with all markets. And that's why you cannot diversify away all the risk, because even if you have a lot of different coins, when the market crashes, they all crash. And it's the same thing. When the market goes up, they all go up as well. Not at different speeds, but that's this correlation is there, and you cannot diversify away from it. But when you do have a portfolio that you rebalance, you can take advantage of these movements. Why? Because not everything is going to be dropping at the same speed. So something that didn't drop as fast, you have more of it now in terms of percentage of the portfolio. You sell some of it to buy something that dropped more. And same thing when the market goes up. Not everything goes up at the same speed. So you always have these opportunities to rebalance, take money off the table from something that hasn't followed as much and put it into something else that has, and generate money in that way. Just looking at this, you see that Bitcoin dropped by 4%, but Ethereum dropped by almost 12. And IOTA, which is the coin we have, dropped by 7.8. Binance coin dropped by 6.6. So not the same movements, and that creates opportunities for us to rebalance. Okay. So how are we going to rebalance? Well, we could have taken out a calculator and started calculating everything, or used, a lousy Excel sheet, like, where is that? Used a lousy Excel sheet like the one we've used yesterday in the beginning. Here it is. Like this one where we calculated everything and that wasn't clean, right? Do it manually. Or you could use the Excel sheet that I've created for this class that makes it very simple to do, right? And that's the purpose of me creating this Excel sheet, because it really makes that rebalancing process extremely easy. And, when something is easier, you can do it more often. And you just do it more often. When it's too hard to calculate, you might be like, I don't want to do this now. I don't have time to do it. This makes it easy. Now, what are we going to do? How are we going to do that? Simple. This is our allocation for yesterday. This is the quantities and the prices that we had yesterday. The value of our portfolio yesterday was 7,700. If I log in today on my Binance and I check, these are the same positions, haven't changed those. Well, it dropped to 7,100. So, and that's just part of investing. It fluctuates. It's not a bad thing. 0% bad. It's part of investing. It's part of the game. You can't just pick and choose what you take from investing and what you don't take. So this is what we have. Okay. Now, let me actually look at our allocation here and open this up to see the decimals, because I've realized we've made a small mistake yesterday, and it's not too big. But you see, Bitcoin, I actually have 19.5% of it, and the altcoins, I have about 20.1% of each. Now, why is that? Well, it's because in the beginning, when we put our prices, I put the ask price because I thought we were going to be buying these coins from fresh. But it turns out that we actually had a lot of these coins, and we actually ended up selling them. Now, we didn't sell them at the ask price that I had put. We sold them at the bid price. So we got less Bitcoins than we expected to get, right? So since we got less Bitcoins, with the quantity of Bitcoins that we got compared to the quantities that we had, gave us a little bit less Bitcoins than the actual coins. And you see that that's pretty much because of the spread. We sold almost everything at the bid, and we had put the ask price here. But if I had put the bid prices here, we would have sold a little bit more, considering that it would have been a lower price, and we would have actually had 20% in Bitcoins instead of 19.5. So it's just a little mistake that we've done. But again, that's such a small percentage, it's not that big of a deal. But just something to keep in mind. Now, let's take a look at the new prices to see how our portfolio is allocated now, considering this fluctuation in the market. So what do? We go on Binance, okay, and we check the prices. Okay. First things first, let's check Bitcoin USD. So what is the price of Bitcoin USD? Well, let's take a look at the last price, 6,186.99. So 6,186.99. Put that in here. Now it's gonna change things, right? Because Bitcoin just dropped in value. Now it tells me I don't have enough Bitcoin, but the thing is these also dropped in value. I have to change all of them before I actually start looking at the allocations. Otherwise, it wouldn't make sense. And you know what? Before I actually do that, let's copy this here so we can take a look at those numbers after we put in the new prices. So let's just copy it here. I'll copy the values, and let's copy the format as well, just so it looks the same. So that's what it was yesterday. Let's take a look at what it is today. And we said what? 6,186.99. I believe so. Let's check. 6186. Yeah, it was 99. Now let's take a look at next one down the line, VeChain. VeChain is trading at 014,370. So 014,370. Next one down the line should be IOTA. Let's check IOTA's price. IOTA is trading at 53.57. 53.57. Okay. Next one down the line is gonna be Zilliqa. They don't have it on USDT. Let me check it on Bitcoin. 033,409. 033,409. And last one is going to be Binance Coin, the one we've done our research on, right? Which you should do for each of the coins that you would buy. 933. 933. Now take a look at this. Now, something happened, right? Because they've all moved around. Since these coins, these altcoins actually dropped way faster than Bitcoin, okay, they lost more value. So even though they were at 20% of the portfolio, okay, we had more of them. And that's even when Bitcoin, we didn't even have the actual 20%, we had 19.5. They dropped so much that they're only worth, each of them, 19.8%, which is, and this one 19.9, which is less, right? And Bitcoin now, even though I only had 19.5%, I now have 20.6%. I have more of it in terms of its weight of the portfolio, okay? So even though everything dropped in value, like even my Bitcoins, I had 1,500 worth of Bitcoin, now I have 1,439. But these ones I had 1,550 and now I have 1,408. They dropped way more. And so now that gives me the opportunity to rebalance. Okay. So what do? Well, right now, since these things dropped way faster, I'm going to take some of my Bitcoins and sell them. So I don't need all this Bitcoin. I only want 20% worth of Bitcoin. And Binance Coin actually didn't drop as much as well. So it actually went, it dropped, but I mean, not as fast as the others. So in terms of its portfolio size, it has a bigger size than it should be. So I should sell some of Binance Coin. And then what I should do with these proceeds is buy these other coins that are now cheaper. And then I will get back to a 20-20-20 allocation. Okay. And that's really, and that just, I'm not surprised by this change. You know why? Because first of all, when the market drops, Bitcoin drops slower. Okay. So it's a stronger coin. So it's less volatile. So when the market drops, other altcoins will drop. So you're going to often be selling some Bitcoin to buy altcoins cheaper. And when the market goes up, well, altcoins often go up faster. So then you're going to have more altcoins. So you're going to be selling altcoins to get more Bitcoins. And that's the process of rebalancing and generating more coins as you're investing, right? Market goes up, sell altcoins, get more Bitcoins. And then market goes down, use those extra Bitcoins and the Bitcoins you had to buy more altcoins at a lower price. And then market goes up, you have more altcoins, they go up, sell them, get Bitcoin, and repeat the process. So this is really what happened here. So let's actually go ahead and do it. So let me just, I don't think we need this anymore. Okay. And, again, you can come here and see the percentages and be like, again, this is very close. If I hadn't made that mistake yesterday and our Bitcoin was 20% instead of 19.5%, well, today, it went up by 0.75%. So we would have been at 2075 and maybe these ones would be lower. So this would have been rounded to 21%. And it would have been a bigger difference. But again, and the longer you leave this, the bigger the deviations are. And we'll talk about that in the next lecture to get more in depth about how much you should leave things before rebalancing. But for now, let's just get into Binance and do that rebalancing. Okay, so we go into Binance right here. And first thing is first. So we usually look at the sells first. Now, obviously, we can't sell Bitcoin because we're actually going to be using it to buy the other ones. So instead of selling it to like USD and using USD to buy VChain and the others, I'll just leave it in Bitcoin and use it to buy them as I buy them. So I look at the other coins first. Binance coin, I should sell 1.2 Binance coin. Okay, great. Okay, we're already on Binance coin. So Binance coin. I'll go here and I'll put we said what? 1.20. Okay, 1.2. 1.2. Okay, and I'll sell Binance coin. Okay. So orders there, I got executed right away. So if I go trade history, I have my Binance coin here. These are the two executions. That's it. Okay, next one down the line. Well, now that's it. I need to buy the others. Let's start. Well, let's go from the bottom to the top. Zilliqa, I want to buy 349. Zilliqa, go here. And put buy 349. Buy. Okay, my order is here open. I'll leave it until it gets filled instead of just hitting the ask while I put the orders for the other positions. IOTA, I need to buy 11.43. It's really a small amount here for such a small coin. IOTA, I'll put my order here. And I got filled on the other one while we were navigating. 11.43, is that it? And I can I put decimals on IOTA? Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I put 113. Oops. Yeah, so I can't put decimals on IOTA, so 11, right? I want to buy these, put this price. Okay, let's put here, 11 IOTAs. Oh, so I actually can't buy 11 IOTAs because it's too small of a quantity. So IOTA, the 11 IOTAs at 53 cents is $5 and $5.50. So I think Binance has the minimum requirement for Binance to buy is, if you're using limit orders, is about $10 or $15. So they won't let me put an order this small. The only way they would let me do an order this small is if I use a market order. And a market order is basically, okay, just buy at whatever price. It's risky to do usually because you don't want to buy at a really bad price. But for such a small quantity, you're not really going to affect the price and push the price up. There's so many sellers here. 11 is nothing. You're going to get this one. You don't want to buy 10,000 at market because you'll take all of these and push the price up and you'll get a bad price. So let's do the 11 at market. By IOTA, bam, just bought instantly because I bought from him. And you can actually see my 11 pop up here. Last one is going to be VChain. I need to buy 821. So VeChain didn't drop more than the others. VeChain, we said 821. Go here, 821 that I want to buy, not market. Oof, that was close. 821, and I have the correct price. Let me just click on it again. 821 and buy. Here you go. My order's there. Let's give it a second, and let's just re-update. Meanwhile, while this is going on, how much? Okay, so I want 828, 0% filled, and there's people who want 227 coins. So I'm in line, but they all have to get filled before I get filled, right? So if I'm looking here, might take a little bit of time as they get filled because the market isn't as active right now. You know, when it's very active and everybody's trading, it's way easier to get filled. But I'll leave it there instead of just hitting the ask. And meanwhile, let's just update our balances. Okay, so let's update. It's printing up. Yeah, let's update the other balances because we've done some changes. Okay, so right now, my Zilliqa balance should be different, right? Now I have 42,522, so changed. So I have to update that here. And this was, before that, let me just copy this. This was the value before doing our rebalances, okay? And I'll copy it here as values, then I'll copy the format just so it looks like that. Okay, perfect. So how much do we say for Zilliqa? We have 42,522, so 42,522. How much for IOTA? Well, IOTA, we have 2,651 and 497. So 651. So I'll just change this to 651. That's my new quantity. What about VeChain? Let's see if that one is done. I want to wait because I don't want to put Binance coin now, because when I do the trade on VeChain, it'll affect my Binance coins and it'll affect Bitcoin. So let's now check if it got filled. Still not filled. And you know what? I'm starting to, be impatient, so I'll just cancel and just buy it at the higher price. And we said what, was it 821? Let me look at my order history. For VeChain, yeah, 821. 821, click buy, bam, just got it. Let's get it back in balances, refresh, check my new balance. Now VeChain, I have 98,861. Okay, so we have 98, 820, 61, is that it? Let's see. We have 98,861. 98,861. Perfect. Now, what about Binance Coin? I have 152 and 26. So 152 and 26. And then lastly, let's see how much Bitcoins I have now. And let me just copy this here. Copy it here. And I'll paste while keeping, while matching this format. Here we go. Bam. Now with the new quantities that I have, right? Because I've done this correctly this time. Okay. With the new quantities that I have in my balance after having sold and done all of this stuff. Let me just clear this. My allocation is 20% everywhere. So it's perfect, right? I put in the right prices. I sold the right amount. So I check my balances, and now my new balances make it that my portfolio is perfectly balanced at 20% everywhere. And I'm happy about that, right? Right? So 20% everywhere here. And, so we have our 20% everywhere, 20% of in each of those, and that's what I wanted. So, that's really portfolio rebalancing. And you see now it's actually really 20%. And I'll leave this at 2 decimals here. So for when you get it, you can see that if there is a few decimals here or there. But anyways, a few decimals doesn't matter, to be honest. You're most of the time not going to get it perfect. You're going to get it 0.1 or point something different. And that's okay because, when you're actually seeing the prices and putting in the sheet, and from the time you actually go and do the trades, it might have moved a bit, or you might sell at the bid or the ask or at a different price than the one that you wanted, so it might affect this, right? But by doing that rebalancing, I actually went in and was able to buy something that dropped faster, so I'm gaining more coins than the thing that had the bigger drop. And as these things just move, it adds so much value to your portfolio. And you see how this wasn't too much work. This wasn't too much work, and this, I'm taking my time to show it to you. But when I'm rebalancing my portfolio, and again, we have I guess coins on a lot of different. We have 12 different exchanges where we have coins on. And when I'm doing rebalancing, it's pretty quick. It's literally pretty quick because you know what you're doing. You're like, oh, okay, I have all of these. I'm gonna sell them. I'm gonna buy these. Now I'm explaining it to you, but even with all this explanation, it's not a long process to do. And with this Excel sheet, this I hope really helps you because I use a similar Excel sheet. I've did this one specifically for this course. The one I use is exactly the same. It's just not pretty. There's no colors on it because I don't care about colors. But for this one, I'm like, okay, let's put a few graphs and some colors. It's exactly the same thing, and it tells me the exact same thing. And it was very beneficial for me. So I hope it's beneficial for you. Use it, and that'll really add value to your portfolio. Now it's always going to tell you something here. You see, that's the functions I've wrote to do those. You can look at them and play around with them if you want. It's your Excel sheet, so have at it. Give it to your friends if you want. Give it to whoever it would help. Okay. Now, so it'll always say some small amounts here because regardless of that amount, there's would always be like a few dollars extra here, a few dollars there. Don't sweat that. It's actually a few cents. So don't sweat that. Now, there's more to think about deciding when do we rebalance, because now we looked at rebalancing, but when do we rebalance? Should we have rebalance now, or should we have rebalance at another time? And that's going to be the subject of our next lecture.